Is Columbus, Ohio on the verge of boom or bust with the Intel effect? Well, in today's episode of Living in Columbus, Ohio, we are going to dive in to all things Intel related and how it will positively or negatively impact our wonderful city. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Brad Winter. If this is your first time to the channel, make sure you tap on the subscribe button, leave a comment, click the bell, give us a like. We want to notify everybody when we do one of these videos. And in these videos, we talk about everything you need to know about living in Columbus or the surrounding areas. Now, I am also a licensed real estate agent here in the state of Ohio. And as much as I love doing these videos for you guys, I would love nothing more to help you with your real estate needs. So give me a call, shoot me a text, fire off an email. I'm gonna have your back when it comes to all things real estate related here in the Columbus metro and surrounding areas. Let's dive right into today's video of boom or bust with the effect of Intel and what's going on in our city. Now, before we take a look at what's going on in the Columbus market and the things that are happening with Intel, let's go back a little bit to an area called Chandler, Arizona. Now, some time ago, Intel set up a massive operation in a little town of Chandler, Arizona, which at that time had a population of around 10,000 people. It's not that different from what New Albany is, right? I think New Albany, we're around 11,000 people in the last census that we've had. But again, we're looking at basically the same size town. And when Intel went to Chandler, Arizona, from then until now, you're looking at almost 280,000 people that now call Chandler, Arizona home. And everything that I have looked up about Chandler, it went from this sleepy kind of odd town to a booming place that a lot of people call home. They love to live there or in the surrounding areas. And so I think that's really important to think about what is more than likely going to happen to the New Albany region once Intel kind of sets up shop and really becomes official here, which I think is really great. Now, one thing that I found was really interesting about the effect of Intel in Chandler, Arizona is the job creation, whether that was direct or indirect. We're talking about over 55,000 jobs that have and were created due to Intel coming to Chandler, Arizona and the economic impact that it had. Now, there's been a lot of information out there about Intel coming, to the Columbus region, more specifically New Albany, and you are going to see a massive run of new companies being formed, other companies, maybe that are located in different states, having shops here or moving their headquarters here, whatever that looks like. And so it is very hard not to believe that this type of job growth and creation is going to happen here. Now, another thing that I was reading about Chandler, Arizona and the Intel effect was housing and how, these builders, they had to start building more houses. The supply and demand was out of control. And still to this day, it's a very thriving area. And so as we have always talked about on this channel and on our live channel is, the lack of inventory here in Columbus is a major problem. And it is only going to get tighter due to, what's going on with builders that did this out in Arizona. And now we could expect this to happen here. So I just think we should take a step back before we kind of get into what's going on here locally. Now, if you have been living under a rock for the last few years, I will just inform you that Intel, one of the world's largest companies, or at least, one of the largest companies in the United States, formally announced in 2022 that they were going to be calling Central Ohio home for their mega microchip factory R&D campus. And this was a huge announcement, not only just for Columbus, but for the state of Ohio, because why not? A lot of people didn't think a company of this size of project here in Ohio. And so this is a huge opportunity for the region, for the state, and it is a massive project. You're looking at a $20 billion investment with two, like what they call these fab plants, which make the microchips, but it could be upwards of 100 billion with 8 fab plants as well. So that is astronomical, huge, whatever you want to put it. That is kind of what we are looking at. Now, this is literally the largest investment in the state since Honda, which I believe that was like a $17 billion investment that Honda did. And their headquarters is out in the Marysville, Ohio area. That is the largest, I believe, in the state prior to Intel. Now, what's really interesting about this is, as I look at some notes on this, the average salary for an employee will be $130,000. That is going to not only create, I guess, more stability with households. There'll be more economic growth because people will be making really great money and they'll be spending that money at local businesses and local companies and all these things. So we are going to see like a huge economic uplift just by all the employees that will be at Intel. Now, I always I don't play the bad guy, but I'm kind of always want to be aware, like they say this now, right? That's kind of going to be the average employee salary. We'll see if they make good on that, which I hope they do, because I think that would be great. But again, take it with a grain of salt. We're still a few years away from this happening, but as you can see from what they're saying, this is going to be a huge opportunity for a lot of people either relocating to the region or the people that already live here. Now, currently, they are out building these fab plants right now. Now, they had slated for sometime in 2025 for this project to be, I wouldn't say completed all the way done, but they were going to be open for business. Well, the CEO of Intel came out the other day, and that is going to be delayed now, which I'm not surprised. Construction timeframes change all the time. Then you have politics that are still being, are playing a role in this with the CHIPS Act, and I'm sure there's stuff with the state of Ohio. And then also Intel, they didn't have a great year last year. Their stock price was down, it's been down. And so I'm sure that has something to do with it as well. Now, there's a lot of naysayers out there that saying this project is never gonna happen. They're gonna leave us high and dry. That's nothing that I actually believe. And I drive actually out to the construction site quite frequently to just see what's going on. And I can tell you, they're not stopping work at all. And this thing is going up pretty quickly. And so that time frame could change. Maybe they will bring it back sometimes in 2025, but I will tell you, it is a sight to see this thing being built. The interesting thing is they said that they need 15,000 construction workers to actually build this from start to finish. Now, that's all sorts of different trades and skill sets and everything, but one thing that I have a problem with, or that I'm worried about, is we already have a shortage in the trades anyway, not only just in our region, but throughout the country. And we're a market right now that we need more housing. We need more housing at the luxury level. We need more housing, at more an affordable level, and everything in between. And so when you have a company of this size that is doing this type of project, I'm worried that they are going to steal a lot of those workers from builders and other trades, because they're probably going to be able to offer probably more money or incentives to do so. Because they're a billion dollar company and they have the means to do that, but they also want to get this project done. And I'm 100% for everybody making more money and having a better life. So if you get that opportunity, you should probably take it. But what does that do with restraining on other projects that are going on in housing and building, maybe other buildings or offices, whatever it is? I think this is going to really put a restraint on the trade workforce here locally. And they said they want to hire a lot of local Ohio people to do this build. And while I want to believe them, I think we've already, a report maybe came out that they've only hired 100 Ohioans out of the 800 people that are working on this project. So will that continue to, I guess, scale differently? I'm not sure, and maybe we just don't have the people to do it. So they have to bring in people from all over the country. Who knows? But I do want to bring that up, is like that construction is fierce and it's large scale, and it's going to take a lot of people, as they indicated, 15,000 construction workers. And, we'll just kind of see what happens. It will be interesting to see the impact that it has here locally on us. A lot of people always ask, like, why did Intel choose Ohio? Why did they choose the area that they did? And I'm not privy to every inside secret that goes on, or any inside secrets, actually. I wish I was privy to, but there are some things that we can connect the dots. First of all, Ohio, if you look at where we're at on the map from a logistics standpoint of getting product in and out, we're really an ideal location as far as if they have to ship stuff on trucks, on trains, they're flying stuff. We can get to the East Coast within a day. Other routes that we can ship things to get it throughout the world is very easy for us to do. And so I think that is a big thing, is like we can just touch a lot of the country rather quickly when they're exporting, material out of here, or they need stuff in. But also one thing that I saw here is Ohio's kind of our climate. We are very water rich. We don't have a ton of climate changes. We don't have really earthquakes, and those type of things they look for, because when you're making this microchip, you can't have hurricanes that could potentially crush down the building, or wildfires, or any type of seismic activity that could throw things off. Now, there's always a chance for that. We do have tornadoes here, which is interesting, and I'm sure they looked at the probability of a tornado really taking off where they're at, or landing. And so I feel like they've already looked at all that stuff, but I do find it very interesting that out of all the states, that Ohio was one that they really looked at these kind of environmental things that basically said this was a great place to build these microchip factories. As Intel continues to build, other companies continue to invest here, to develop here. We are facing future challenges, and there's already current challenges. And so when we think about Intel coming here, I want to know in the comments below, do you feel like this is going to be a big boom for Central Ohio? Or do you think long-term it'll be a big bust? Because you could probably make an argument for either one of those things to happen. If we look at current day issues, let's talk about housing. So housing is already on the rise here, or has been on the rise here. There is a lack of affordable housing that is happening right now. And you can bet if Intel makes good on what their average salary is going to be, if the economic impact and population impact is somewhat close to what it was in Chandler, Arizona, you can bet that the home prices are going to continue to rise immensely. And that's not to scare anybody or to do anything but educate you, is that this could 100% happen. And that could be a big boom for a lot of people, whether it's investors, whether it's the trades, the builders, landowners, people that already own houses in the areas that they're probably going to feel this impact a little bit more than others. It's probably a great thing. But it could be a big bust for other people during that time if they're trying to get into maybe buying their first house. Maybe they're being forced out of these areas, unfortunately, because of maybe some eminent domain things, or they can't afford to live in certain places anymore because of housing, cost of living. All these things could, and more than likely are going to happen when Intel really takes off here in Central Ohio. Now, the interesting thing about this that I was reading some notes on is the anticipated population growth in 14 counties is going to be pretty great. Now, the really specific impact is going to be in the Licking and Fairfield counties because they're the closest. But think about that. If you're in like Franklin County and 14 counties around Franklin is going to be impacted by this, which I think is wild. It's crazy to think about, and we'll see if that actually happens, but all signs are pointing in that direction. Another thing they're talking about is doing this outer belt highway, basically it's connecting, the first phase, I guess, that's been proposed is Route 33 in that Lancaster area all the way up to the northern I-70. And the reason for this is they're just anticipating this mega boom of population, businesses, transit, all this stuff on the east side of town. And so they're going to need more roadways. And so they've proposed this massive outer belt to accommodate that. That's really great. We could help a lot of people out with new jobs, new opportunities, but what about the people that live out there? Are they just going to essentially knock on your door and say, hey, we're going to build this highway, you're in our way, and so we'll offer you X amount of dollars? Or they're just going to, I don't know the exact rules on how that works, but I'm pretty sure they have to offer you so many times before they can just kind of take it due to the eminent domain. And again, I'm not a lawyer, so don't take me up on all that. I'm not an expert, but I believe that's kind of the way it works with some of the stuff. So then you're going to have some displacement of homes and families and land and all this stuff. And so that could be a big bust for some people, or it could be a big boom if they walk away with maybe some money they never thought they could have. We're also having a mega airport built here in Central Ohio, $2 billion investment to our current airport and upgrading it. There's gonna be more terminals, more options, it's gonna be nicer, all these things. And so we've got a lot of challenges today, a lot of challenges in the future, but I also think there's so many bright spots that this could happen. So I think that's a good thing as well. As we wrap up this episode, I would love to know in the comments what you think about Intel coming here, the construction workers that are going to be needed, the salaries that they're proposing. What do you think it's going to do to housing? What do you think it's going to do to the economy here in Central Ohio? Do you think this is a big boom for us, or do you think long-term this is going to be a big bust? I personally think this is going to be a boom. I love seeing expansion, development. I think it's great for everybody. It creates a lot of opportunities for people in the marketplace that maybe don't have those opportunities, didn't know those jobs existed, want a change of career, young people coming out of college and having more opportunity and staying here in Columbus than going elsewhere to work in like tech sectors. So I think this is going to be great. Again, I would love to know in the comments what you think. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of Living in Columbus. Today we talked about Intel, the effects it had in Chandler, Arizona, what's potentially going to happen here in the Columbus region, and is this a boom or bust for our incredible city? I'll catch you on the next episode.